Hello Oracle Database World, this is Justin, and in this Oracle Database YouTube video tutorial, I am going to show you how RMAN expires backups. Okay, now RMAN stands for Recovery Manager, and it was introduced in around Oracle Database version 8 or so, and it's still around even in the current version 11.2. Now, RMAN is known as Server Managed Backup and Recovery. It replaces User Managed Backup and Recovery, and RMAN is basically it's a client utility just like SQL Plus, but it is also a series of PLSQL packages in the Oracle database, in the recovery catalog if it's used, and also on the target database. It's used to back up the Oracle database. RMAN is a preferred method to back up and recommended by Oracle Corporation mainly because it knows Oracle, okay? It knows the architecture, it understands the data structures, and it logs in and actually communicates with Oracle, okay? So, and RMAN has a lot of features that user-managed backup recovery does not have, such as incremental backup, backup at a block level. You can repair fractured Oracle database blocks, database corruption at a block level. You can do a lot with it, okay? And RMAN is also RAC, ASM, and data guard aware as well, so it can work in a lot of advanced complex environments as well. Okay, RMAN also expires backups. Okay, expires meaning the retention. Okay, and the retention of a backup, like with any backup product, basically means how long do we want to keep our backups for? Okay, whether it's a versioning backup technique or if it's a days backup technique. Okay, being how many days. So an example would be I want to set my backup retention for 30 days, for 1 month. What that would usually mean is that whenever someone requests a restoration or restore of a backup, they'll know that they can only go back a month, 30 days. Okay, anything over that month, 32, 33, 34, would be expired, and the reason why retentions exist is usually to save space on the backup media. Okay, you can't keep backups forever. So that being the case, RMAN offers two options for redundancy, for retention. Three actually, and this video covers one of them. It offers redundancy retention, recovery window retention, and keep until retention. Okay, and this video shows you the redundancy retention option. So we have an Oracle database known as Finance running on our system here, our Windows 7 system. We ensure we set the Oracle SAD properly. There it is, Finance. And we connect with the RMAN client program. Okay, and we do target / meaning anything the Oracle SAD is currently set to, which means RMAN will connect to the Finance database. Now, in RMAN terminology, target database means the Oracle database that you're either backing up or restoring with RMAN. Okay? And we're not using what's called a recovery catalog in this instance. So we're connected to target database Finance, DBID. All right, now, if we do a show all is going to show us all the persistent parameters which are stored in the control file or the recovery catalog as well, if you are using the recovery catalog or recovery catalog, I should say. And these parameters control the behavior of an RMAN session. And as we can see, it is set to a default parameter here, which is configure retention policy to redundancy 1. Okay, so we do a list backup. We'll see that we have no backups. Okay, yeah, we didn't run any backups against this database. And if we do a report obsolete, and I'll tell you what that command does in a few minutes here, we see that no obsolete backups, that no backups have been found that are obsolete. So let's go ahead and let's back up our database. But before we do that, let's take stock here. Let's go to the directory which contains the files which collectively make up our Oracle database. And that directory is c:/database/ordata/finance. If we do a directory listing, in that directory we will see that we have one control file, 3 redo log files, and 4 DBF files. A sysop01, a system01, a temp01, and an undo TBS1 with DBF extension. So these are the files that collectively make up our Oracle database. Now, if we go into our archive logs directory, which is is under this directory here. These are the archive logs, okay? And you can see that they're numbered 10 through 21. These are the archive logs, which are currently in the archive log direct destination, we call it. And they're sequential order here, as you can see. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So now that we've taken stock of our database, let's connect via RMAN again, and let's take a full backup of our database. Plus, let's also grab the archive logs. And we do that by typing in backup space database space plus space archive log. Okay? We can see it's grabbing all the archive logs. Now let's back it up the data files. Okay, now we have a backup of the SP file. We have a backup of the control file. And we have a backup of the database. So now when we type in a list backup, what we're going to see is, well, actually, do a list backup summary first. We're going to see that we have 4 backup pieces, or backup sets, we can call them. Okay? The first one of these is going to be the data file, is going to be the archive logs, which were backed up first. One of them is going to be the data files. One of them is going to be the archive logs, which were backed up after the data files. And the third one is going to be the SP file and the control file. So, archive logs, data files, archive logs, control file, and SP file. And the only reason why we have a separate one for SP file and control file is because auto backup is on. Okay, so if we go over here and we look, we will see that we have 4 backup pieces or backup sets. So here's, we ran the backup database plus archive log command, and the first thing it does is it switches an archive log, which is why we have 22 now, and it backs up all the archive logs into its own file, its own backup piece. There's that backup piece, 11ms597m. Okay, then it starts another backup piece where it backs up the data files, and there's that backup piece, 12ms590. Then it does a log switch, which sets it, which makes the sequence 23. Okay, it automatically does a log switch. Okay, and that gives you another backup piece, 13ms597v. Then finally, but certainly not least, it does another backup piece, but this backup piece is named differently because of it's an auto backup, which is the control file and SP file. And when we do a list backup, we will see the first backup piece, here it is, 97M, controls these archive log files. Okay, and here are the sequences it's showing you, of sequence 10 through 22. Then, the list backup is telling you I also have, and notice the date here, tells you the date the backup occurred. It says I also have this backup piece, which contains these data files. Okay. Now, it's also going to say I have this backup piece now, which has this archive log sequence in it, 23. And I have this backup piece now, which has the control file and the SP file. Okay, so RMAN tells you everything you need to know about its backups. It's in the control file. And as you can see, and this is called the metadata of the backups. And as you can see, there are 4 files, just like I said, there are 4 backup pieces. And if we were to go to the default location where Oracle keeps writes the backup pieces out by default, we will see that we have 4 files here. We will see that we have, here are 3 files here. Files that have the archive logs, the data files, and the archive log. And we have the file that has our control file and SP file. And I can tell which one has which. I can either map them by doing a list backup up here, or I could just tell by the sizes usually. I mean, look at this file. This file is the next to smallest file. Okay? So this file right here, okay, is probably going to be the first archive logs, okay, because a lot of archive logs get backed up first. This file is the biggest at 249 meg. So this file right here is most likely going to be your data files. And this file being the smallest file here is probably going to be your one archive log that backed up after the data files. So this is the first file that has your that has multiple archive logs. This is the second one, which has all your data files, and this is the third one which just has one archive log. And then, of course, we have our fourth file here, which contains our control file and SP file. Okay, so now that we understand how RMAN writes backups, let's talk about retention. Now, remember, if you recall from the show all command, we see that we have configured retention policy to redundancy of 1. What that means is, as long as there's one backup which RMAN knows about, one backup that it can recover, it has all the backups that it needs. So when you say to somebody, when you say to your user group, yeah, we're backing up our databases, but we're using the default RMAN retention policy, which is redundancy 1. And they'll say, well, what does that mean? You say, well, basically what that means is that we only keep one copy of a backup. So we take a backup on Monday, you can restore to Monday's backup. We take a backup the next day on Tuesday, guess what? You can't restore Monday because it's now expired. It's obsolete. But you can restore Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we take another backup. Guess what? Wednesday's the only backup. It's the latest backup that you can restore because the backup on Tuesday is now obsolete and expired. Okay? So, if we were to type in report obsolete, okay, let's talk about what we see. What we see is, we see here, we see archive logs. We see archive logs with sequence 11, 12, 13, 4. We see archive logs with sequence 11, 12, 13, 22, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so basically what, got confused there because this is annoying. RMAN shows you the actual backup piece name that right in the middle of the output, so it disrupts the flow there. But so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 are all backup pieces which are obsolete. Okay, again, sequence 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 are all obsolete. Why? They're obsolete because you don't need them to do a recovery because the archive logs were taken prior to the backup. They're not required for a recovery because any redo that's in those archive logs is contained in the data file backup. Okay? Now, no data file backup is listed as being expired here. Okay? Because at a minimum we need one copy of our database in our backup repository, okay, to meet our retention requirements, and we have that, okay? But these archive logs here are obsolete because any data that they contain would be taken in the DBFs, okay? So, being that we go up to sequence 22, you'll also notice, go back to our database directory, our archive log destination, and we will see that we have 23 sequences here. But according to RMAN, the highest number in the obsolete is sequence 22. See it right here, sequence 22. Now, why is it that 10 through 22, 10 all the way down through 22 are obsolete, but 23 is not obsolete? Well, that's because 23 was taken after the backup ran. Okay? So if you were to go up here to where we ran our backup, I don't have that. Yes, I do. And here's the backup of the data files. Okay, here are the archive logs that occurred prior to the data files. 10 through 22, sorry. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, that occurred prior, and if you remember from the report obsolete, those backups are obsolete. Okay, there's archive logs. Okay, because the data files here would contain all the changes that those redo logs would have, those archive redo logs would have, 10 through 22. But if we come down here, we will see that sequence, here it is, that sequence 23, here it is, sequence 23 occurred after the DBF backups. See? sequence 23 after DBFs. Because of that, okay, this archive log backup is not, okay, and I repeat, is not obsolete, because it could have data that those data files up here does not have, okay, do not have. All right? So, if we go back into RMAN target slash, and of course we do our report obsolete, okay, we will see that 10 through 22 are obsolete. And if we were to type in delete obsolete, just like that, delete obsolete, okay, it's going to list the backups again, 11 through 22, and it's going to ask us to confirm. Do you really want to delete the above objects? Type in yes. Now if we type in a report obsolete, we will see that no obsolete backups have been found. And if we type in list backup summary, we will see that we only have 3 backup pieces as opposed to 4, which we had when we checked right after we ran our backup. And if we were to go to the location, the default location, where our Oracle, where our RMAN backup pieces are written to, our Oracle home, I can type, we will see that we only have 3 files instead of 4. This one, and this one. Because we deleted the obsolete backup from before. So RMAN automatically takes it out of the record of it out of the metadata, and also deletes it from disk as well. Now, log into RMAN again, do a list backup summary, and we see our 3 backups: the data file, the data files, the archive log that we backed up after that was backed up after the backup of the data files, and the SP file and control file. Again, the data files backup, the archive log backup, which was backed up after the data files, and last but not least, the the control file backup and the SP file backup. Now, run another backup. Backup database plus archive log. Now, we do the list backup summary, and what we're going to have here is we're going to have, from the first one we ran, our data files, archive log, control file, and SP file, but then we're also going to have 4 additional ones, which is going to be the archive logs, which ran before the data files, the 1 archive log, and the control file and SP file. So again, we have 7 backup pieces here. We have the data files from the first backup we ran. We have the 1 archive log cut after the data file backup ran. We have the control file and SP file for the first backup we ran. We have the archive logs from the second backup we ran. We have the data files from the second backup we ran. We have the 1 archive log that was cut automatically after the second backup of the data files we ran. And we have the control file and SP file of the second one we ran. So now if I type in report obsolete, we're going to see some more data here. Now you're going to see that there are 4 files which are eligible for deletion now. The 4 files which are eligible is this file, which is archive log 23, and is this file, archive log 24. We also see that its backups are also obsolete, and we see that the data file backup is obsolete. Okay? Now, what we're seeing here is you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're seeing 6 backup pieces that are obsolete. Well, actually, what you're really seeing is you're seeing 4 backup pieces that are obsolete. What you're seeing is the data files from the first backup are obsolete. Okay, so here, let me show you. I noticed it's kind of getting confused, and I apologize. It's a crazy thing to teach. Okay, so if we do a list backup, it's going to know about 2 backups. The first backup we ran and the second backup we ran. Now, The first backup piece that it's telling us is obsolete is 12ms. If we look for 12ms here, there it is, 12ms. 12ms is the first backups, data file backups that we ran. So it's now expired. Why is it expired? It's expired because we have two copies of the DBFs now. Okay, we have them from the first backup and the second backup we just ran. So now, since we only need the latest backup to meet the retention requirement, which is one copy, this backup piece is now obsolete. Let's see what else is obsolete, shall we? We'll also see that archive log 23 is obsolete. Okay, why? Because 23 was the backup that was cut after the second archive, after the first backup was ran. Okay, remember that? So that's obsolete now because any data that was in that archive log would be in the second backup that we ran, the second DBF backup that we ran. And notice how it's not a backup piece location. It's in the database or data finance archive logs. That's because RMAN not only expires the archive log backup piece that RMAN creates, but it also expires the archive log in the destination as well. So it can be used as an archive cleanup utility as well. That's why RMAN is so cool. Now the next backup piece that's being expired here is 13ms. Now let's see what 13ms is. There it is. 13ms is the backup sequence 23. So we see that RMAN is expiring the archive log, the live archive log, and it's also expiring the backup piece for sequence 23. Let's see what else is obsolete here. Okay, C25857. Okay, now if we scroll down here, we will see, here it is, C25857. C25857. This is the archive log, this is the SP file and a control file from the first backup, so we don't need that anymore, so that's going to be deleted. And archive log sequence 24, you see it's taking it right out, is also being deleted. Why? Because archive log sequence 24 was the first thing that RMAN backed up when you backed up the second time. So it doesn't need it anymore because any changes that would be in 24 would be in the archive log, would be in the data file backup. So we don't need him anymore. Okay, and then we also have, and then 15ms, which should be the backup of this. Remember, this is the live and this is the backup. So if we look at 15ms, there it is, we will see that 15ms here has sequence 23 and 24, which are obsolete because the next backups are the DBFs. Now, if we were to go back to our database directory and then go to our archive logs directory, we will see we have 23, 24, and 25. Now, if we do RMAN target and we type in delete obsolete, and this time I'm going to show you the no prompt option. Delete no prompt obsolete, which will make it so you don't have to answer yes at the confirmation prompt. 6 objects deleted. Now we do list backups. Now we do report obsolete first, and we will see that nothing's obsolete again. And if we do a list backup summary, we will see that we only have 3 backups now. The data files backup, the archive log that was cut after the backup, and the control file and the SP file, just like we had the first time. And if we go to DIR, the archive logs directory, we will see that archive log 23 and 24 have been deleted, and 25 remains. And if we go to our Oracle home, database location, we will see that we have 3 files, 16ms, 17ms, and C25827 file, which are all the files that we need for our current backup. So, for redundancy retention, as long as you have 1 backup, you're good. Okay, and so I would recommend when you're using RMAN to always have a job that does a report obsolete and delete obsolete on a regular basis. I do it daily, but there's reasons to not do it daily, but you can do it daily, or you can do it bi-daily, weekly, bi-weekly, even monthly. Depends on how tight your storage is on your backup media. Okay? All right. And expiring backups, which expires metadata, basically, will also save room in your control file and your recovery catalog if you utilize one. Okay? That's how RMAN retention works from a redundancy standpoint. Okay? The RMAN backup redundancy retention setting. Thank you.